Welcome back, duelists. I think it's about time we go ahead and just get this over with. So, I've been asked a couple of times, maybe just once in the comments section, but I have been asked multiple times now through the emails because you guys have been sending me those on the side anyway. Um, Casual, what are your main decks? What are you maining? Have we seen that yet? When are we going to see your competitive build? When are we going to see the deck that you compete with? Well, all right, kids. Let's do this today, okay? So, side note, I've got 3 competitive decks that I usually keep on me. You guys actually have seen one of them. The other one is below it, but that's not the side of this that we're going to be worried about this today. Instead, we're going to be pulling this bad boy out. See, nothing else left. Not hiding anything from you. So, Subterror. Subterror is actually the deck that I've been playing the most, like the last 6 to 8 months. And when I started this channel, I really wanted to appeal more to the casual or budget players and a little less to like the top, like 2% of competitive players. But I think this deck is going to be a favorite amongst everybody. I thought about it for a second. I thought, should I keep this deck a little more budget? Should I not run Dragoon? And I said, well, no, if I'm going to label it as my competitive build, my main right now, I need to run it as it is. So real quick, let's get you guys the profile. So we got my 3 Ash Blossoms, of course. Got my Dark Magician. Got 3 copies of my Effect Veiler. Got 2 copies Ghost Ogre and Snow Rabbit. Obviously Red Eyes. 1 copy Subterror Behemoth Umastrix. 3 copies of Subterror Fiendus. 3 copies of Subterror Guru. And 1 copy of Subterror Nemesis Archer. Now this is a great monster lineup. The only thing I really changed recently for this was I added in the Red Eyes and the Dark Magician. So, spells, got Called by the Grave, single copy. I was running this at 3 previous. Pot of Duality at 2. This was at 3 previous because I didn't have the Extravagance copies. And of course, I didn't have to make room for the Red Eyes Fusion or anything. So right now I'm going to keep this at 2. Still very strong, even with Extravagance, because the key word here is add from hand, or add from deck to hand through the Excavate. So we can run that alongside of Extravagance. We're going to have 3 copies of that, because you need the draw power. Single copy Red Eyes Fusion. Single copy Super Polymerization. I used to play this at 3, because it was actually very good. And I didn't have the Extravagance, so I didn't have to worry about my extra deck going away. I was able to actually tone up the extra deck to play up against multiple decks as far as regional metas. So we also used the 1 copy Terraforming, 3 copies of the Hidden City, and of course I used 1 copy of Upstart Goblin. Now this is the only actual card in my deck that actually says to draw outside of Extravagance. So depending on your playstyle, maybe you want to take this out for the other Red Eyes Fusion, except on the turn that you use the Red Eyes Fusion, you can't use Upstart Goblin, or the Pot of Duality, or vice versa. So, traps. We're going to be running 3 copies of Solemn Strike, 3 copies of Subterror Final Battle, 3 copies of There Can Be Only One, and that is the 40-card main deck. Now, I do have my special dual center here. Now, this is a copy of Bayrox from a game before Yu-Gi-Oh! Was Yu-Gi-Oh! And I believe this was released by Bandai Bandai in 99. And extremely hard to find cards like this anymore. So even though it's not like a main brand character, like he's still pretty cool, and he's definitely my favorite dual center. Now, the extra deck. We are going to be running Chimeratech Fortress Dragon, single copy. Mega Fleet, twice. Earth Golem at Ignister would be at 3. I don't own a 3rd yet. It didn't come in the mail yet. So I'm using a Violet Chimera anyway as a proxy for the 3rd. Because again, you usually end up running up against Salamangreat, but it's not the only Cyburst deck that's out there. So Earth Golem is just better. Mud Dragon of the Swamp, especially good since Zodiac seems to be back on the rise. And my main attribute in my deck is Earth. So this will allow me to take one of my Earth non-beast warriors plus a Zodiac monster and hit it with a Super Polyfuse trap. So it's fine. Going to go ahead and run that at 3. Gotta have Red Eyes Dark Dragoon in here. Gotta have Starving Venom Fusion Dragon if you're running the Super Poly. And of course, 2 Vert Anacondas, because we want to be able to, without clogging up the main deck, we want to be able to see Red Eyes Fusion as fast as possible if that's the route that you're going to have to play when you sit down and start playing. So that is the deck list. If you guys like this, if you guys want more that are actual competitive level decks, I'll start doing that like every other week. That'd be fine. If this helps, consider hitting the sub button or don't, whichever. And if you were just here for the list, class is dismissed. I'm going to talk about my decisions now. So let's go through that. So the first thing I want to do is I want to touch the extra deck. Again, it's quicker to do. So I normally do side like 2 Cyber Dragons when I play this, just in case I end up against a machine build. This will allow me to suck up a lot of cards, especially when you're playing up against things like another Cyber Dragon deck. Once or twice, I've actually come up against the little desk bot characters for like an OTK sweeper. And what's the other one? Oh, the Machinas, yeah. Jeez. Anyway, that'll let you vacuum them up. This will be the same thing with that, and it will also let you take monsters from the extra monster zones. So again, usually just links, but links are very powerful, especially cards like Apollousa. This is a great way to get rid of her. Again, Earth Golem at Ignister, supposed to be the one at 3 because of Cybers. Mud Dragon, I basically explained that away too. Red Eyes Dark Dragoon, Double Destroy. Got the Negate and Power Up effect, great. Starving Venom, still a great card. And Vert Anaconda is going to let me get to any one of those fusion spells. So Polymerization or the Red Eyes Fusion for 2,000 of my hit points, and it'll let me use it as the monster effect for the turn. And with the Red Eyes Fusion, it doesn't matter where the cards are for Dragoon, I still get them. So most of the time when you're playing this deck, this actually should be shuffled because you don't want this to be too structured just in case you're running you have to run the extravagance. You don't want your opponent to think that you're cheating, that you've stacked your extra deck in some way. So the best way I've always done this is I've always shuffled my extra deck and then actually offered them to cut my extra deck or shuffle it themselves face down without before I go ahead and banish, because I usually just peel the top 6, whatever. So again, we got the basic hand traps. We've got the Ash Blossom, which you're going to need to stop interaction with the deck. Dark Magician for the Dragoon, Effect Veiler to stop monster effects, Ghost Ogre to detonate a card that stays on the field that has an activated effect, Red Eyes Black Dragon, another card for Dragoon. And once we talk about the Subterrors, they're pretty fun. So like Umastrix. Flip effect, target a monster your opponent controls, banish it. You can only use this effect once per turn. When a monster you control is flipped face down, if you control no face-up monsters after that, you may special summon this card from your hand to defense position, and once per turn he can dig himself face down. Whew. Anyway, he's pretty awesome. He's going to help us with a lot of spot removal. And the synergy he has with the Guru, the Fiendus, and the Field Spell is just insane. So, speaking of Fiendus, she's our in-house hand trap, which brings our grand total up to something like, 11 hand traps in this deck? So, when your opponent activates a card or effect, as a quick effect, you can send this from the hand or field to the graveyard. Target one Subterror monster you control, negate the activation of the card or the effect of the card, and then change the targeted monster to face down defense, reloading their flip effects. This is a good effect. I like the second effect as well, and it's a way that I like to recur cards, especially after being hit with Ragakai and Dark Hole, because in my area, those seem to be pretty common. And that effect is you can target one face-up monster you control, change it to face-down defense, and if you do, special summon a Subterror from the hand or graveyard in either face-up or down defense position. Each effect is once per turn, and she can target herself to flip herself down, or you could have her set something like Guru so that you get the flip and have some fun with it. So, very good. Love the card. Everybody should know Guru by now. That is that you can add, when he flips, you can add one Subterror card from the deck to the hand, and that includes spells or traps, except the same name, so that's fine. You can target one other face-up monster on the field, change that monster and this one to face-down defense position. This becomes a quick effect if you control another Subterror card, And you could use each effect of Subterror Guru once per turn. So, as a quick effect, we can do this defensively during the opponent's turn to actually set up Umastrix plays, especially when we're talking about our trap card or I think it's the third effect of Hidden City, because it just needed that many effects. And the single copy of Archer, and she's not that great, but she's not that bad. At the start of damage step, if this card attacks an opponent's face-down defense position monster, and I control another Subterror monster, I can shuffle that monster into my opponent's deck. If this card is on the field, is destroyed by battle or card effect, and sent to the graveyard, I can special summon a Subterror from my deck in face-down or face-up defense position. I may use each effect once per turn, and again, normally I'll end up throwing her in like defense or something, let my opponent hit me with that Ragakai, and I can actually get Umastrix, or I can get out a Guru pretty quickly and start looping and lock down the field. Now to the spells. Again, Called by the Grave, just simply it's our hand trap remover. Pot of Duality lets us excavate the top 3 of our deck, add 1 to our hand, shuffle the rest back, and we can only activate 1 of these per turn and can't special summon the turn that we do. Again, previously I played this at 3 and it was very good, but I also didn't have Pot of Extravagance then, so... And it pairs off well with Extravagance because Extravagance says, for the rest of this turn after this card resolves, you may not draw any cards by card effects, but you can add cards to your hand. And that's the important part here. Now, obviously, Extravagance has to be your first play on your turn because it says at the start of your main phase 1, that's when you get to banish the 3 to 6 and then draw for every 3 removed. Very basic. Red Eyes Fusion, again. Fusion summon a fusion monster that lists a Red Eyes monster as material from the extra deck, using monsters from the hand deck or field as material. And if you do, the name becomes Red Eyes Black Dragon. That part is irrelevant. We just need to be able to summon it from the deck. Getting this spell or using Predaplant Vert Anaconda to use this spell as the effect is the entire point of this. You cannot normal or special summon other monsters the turn you activate this card. You may only activate 1 Red Eyes Fusion per turn. Now again, if we're using the effect, Vert Anaconda doesn't care about the last portion of that. Because you're using the effect as its effect, you're not actually activating the spell card. So, just important little notes. Again, I just left the 1 Super Poly in here. You never know. Sometimes it comes in handy. You can always feel free to take that out for one of the cards I took back out. You could always put in the 3rd Pot of Duality back in and test that out. And that would leave your Super Polys in your sideboard, allowing you to side into them. Terraforming, pretty self-explanatory. Go for Field Spell. Field Spell. Note that it does not say Subterror, and that's designed purposefully. They don't want you to get Guru to grab this, to grab another card, and generate too much advantage. So, let's count the effects. 1. When this card is activated, you may add 1 Subterror monster card from your deck to your hand. 2. Once per turn, you can change 1 face-down defense position Subterror monster you control to face-up attack or defense position. 3. Once per turn, when an opponent's monster declares an attack, you can change 1 face-down defense position Subterror monster you control to face-up attack or defense, negating the attack. And the 4th effect is really just a limit. It says you can only activate 1 copy of this per turn. So, with Umastrix being placed face-down, we can block an attack through the effect of the Hidden City while spot removing another card and effectively blocking 2 attacks. Or we can use Guru to flip, grab a card, and then we could actually use Fiendus the next time they activate something to try to reset and play, and that could also possibly get Umastrix on the board for us. So, very cool. Again, Upstart Goblin, they gain 1,000, you get a card. Pretty cool exchange. Solemn Strike. When the opponent's monster or monsters would be special summoned, or they would activate a monster effect, pay 1,500, negate, and destroy. Another one of those cards with obscene amount of effects is the Subterror Final Battle. Activate 1 of the following effects, and after that, set this card back face down instead of sending it to the discard pile. So this card can be used once per turn, every turn, and that's per copy that you have set. First effect, change a set Subterror to face-up attack or defense. 2, change 1 face-up Subterror to face-down defense. 3, add the attack and defense of a Subterror monster together and make that its new attack and defense. So Uma Strix is 2,000 by 2,700. You'd add those, it'd be 47 by 47. And yes, I've activated multiples of these and gotten them over 10k. It's ridiculous. And the last effect, probably the best one this turn, activated effects of Subterror cards cannot be negated. And that, I believe, is one of the best ways to get around Apollosa, because she tries to negate the activated effect of your monster. You can flip this up and still spot remove her with Uma Strix. So, fantastic. And the last card I'm using, there can be only one. Each player can only control one monster of each type. If they control more than one, then they have to send until they only control one of each type. And this helps break down a lot of players being able to main this type of floodgate in your deck, especially with how scattered my creature typing is. So this is the second deck that I main, and this time I showed you the deck at its full power without kicking it a little bit just to get it into a more budget mindset. Again, I think the Red Eyes Dragoon and Predaplant Verde Anaconda, I think that's close to $70. And I want to say the dual or extravagance copies are still somewhere around 25 to 30. So unfortunately, that's like 6 or 7 cards, and it's close to 150. So not exactly budget, but this will get it done. This will be fun to play. If you did want to budget it out, you could take out the Red Eyes support and run these. In my area, First of the Dragons helps. There's a lot of people using Rescue Rabbit right now, whatever. Prank Kids is seen once in a while still, so that's fine. I do tend to run Speleogeist for fun, and his flip effect is just you zero an opponent's monster out. And again, I was running a double polymerization and a triple pot of duality before I had the extravagances and went into the Red Eyes Dragoon. But this is my most competitive deck at the moment. And this is the main. So I hope that you guys enjoyed this. I'll be back later in the week. I got another Speed Duel deck. Again, I want to try to get caught up before the release of Battle City in December. And I think next week, I think we're settling on the Dark Magician deck profile, and I will be adding Dragoon to that as well, because it just doesn't make sense not to. So I will see you guys later. I got to get back to work. Let me build some decks for you, and peace.